The safest driver in the world still wears a seatbelt. The safest company in the world still buys insurance. The strongest nation still prepares for emergencies. So why do millions of people prepare everything? Except their finances. Imagine you're sitting on a flight from Hyderabad to Singapore. The aircraft is modern. The pilots are highly experienced. The weather is perfect. As the plane begins taxiing toward the runway, the cabin crew stands in the aisle. They demonstrate something passengers rarely pay attention to. Seat belts, emergency exits, life jackets, oxygen masks. Most people ignore the demonstration. After all, they're confident nothing will happen. And thankfully, most flights land safely. But imagine for a moment, an airline announces, to reduce costs, we've removed all emergency equipment. Would you board that flight? Of course not. Not because you expect an emergency, but because responsible people prepare before emergencies arrive. Money follows exactly the same principle. Welcome to Hypermedia University, where ideas become understanding. Understanding becomes action, and action becomes transformation. Today's lesson from Invest Life System isn't about expecting bad things to happen. It's about building the confidence to face whatever life brings. Because the goal of an emergency fund isn't fear. It's freedom. Freedom from panic. Freedom from desperate decisions. Freedom to think clearly when life becomes uncertain. If financial peace of mind matters to you, stay with this financial freedom blueprint. Because today's lesson may become the strongest financial foundation you'll ever build. 3 years had passed. Rahul's financial habits had changed dramatically. He invested consistently. He avoided unnecessary debt. He thought before spending. For the first time in years, money no longer controlled every decision he made. One Friday afternoon, his phone rang. The company had announced another restructuring. Departments would merge. Budgets would be reduced. Several positions might be eliminated. The office atmosphere changed immediately. Conversations became quieter. Smiles disappeared. Coffee machines became gathering places for worried employees. Rahul took a deep breath. 3 years earlier, this news would have terrified him. Today, he felt something different. Not confidence, not certainty. Something much more valuable. Calm. That evening, Rahul visited Ajay. I don't understand, he admitted. Everyone at work is anxious. I should be worried too. But somehow, I'm not. Ajay poured 2 cups of tea, then asked a simple question. How many months could your family live if your salary stopped tomorrow? Rahul thought for a moment. About 9 months. Ajay smiled. That's why you're calm. In business, companies don't simply keep cash in the bank. They maintain liquidity reserves. Why? Because every CEO understands one truth. Revenue can fluctuate. Unexpected expenses happen. Markets change. Emergencies don't send calendar invitations. Simple English. Smart organizations prepare before problems arrive. Financially wise families do exactly the same. Ajay reached into a cupboard. He took out an old car seatbelt. Rahul looked confused. Why are you showing me this? Ajay held up the seatbelt. Tell me, when do you wear this? Rahul laughed. Before I need it. Exactly. The emergency fund works the same way. You don't build it during the emergency. You build it before the emergency. There is an old corporate saying. Hope is not a risk management strategy. Boardroom meaning. Organizations prepare for uncertainty instead of assuming everything will go perfectly. Simple English. Don't build your financial life around the hope that nothing bad will ever happen. Build it around the confidence that you'll be ready if it does. Imagine two families. Both earn exactly the same income. Both have similar lifestyles. Then suddenly, one family faces an unexpected medical emergency, or a job loss, or a major home repair. The first family reaches for high-interest loans, credit cards, borrowed money, stress, sleepless nights. The second family quietly uses money they had already set aside. The emergency is still difficult, but panic never takes control. The difference wasn't income. The difference was preparation. And preparation is invisible until the day it's needed. Rahul gently placed the old sut bolt back on the table. He smiled. I've worn one thousands of times, but I never thought about why. Ajahn nodded. That's because protection isn't exciting. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't impress your neighbors. But when life changes unexpectedly, protection becomes priceless. The following week, Rahul's company announced the final list. Several employees lost their jobs. Some had worked there for 15 years. Some had recently purchased homes. Others had young children. The news spread quickly. Phones began ringing. Families gathered around dinner tables. Questions filled every home. What do we do now? Rahul watched silently. For the first time, he understood something that had never appeared on a salary slip. Financial confidence. Not because he was wealthier. Not because he earned more. Because he had prepared. There is a principle every airline follows. Before every flight, engineers inspect aircraft that completed hundreds of successful journeys. Why? Because safety isn't based on yesterday's success. It's based on today's preparation. Financially successful people think the same way. Every month, they don't simply earn. They prepare. One salary builds today's life. Another small portion quietly protects tomorrow. In boardrooms, executives often ask, what is our worst-case scenario? Not because they are pessimistic, because they are responsible. Great leadership isn't about predicting every problem. It's about being ready for the problems nobody predicted. Simple English. Life is uncertain. Preparation reduces uncertainty's power. Rahul asked another question. So, how much should an emergency fund actually contain? Ajahn picked up a marker. He wrote 4 numbers. 3, 6, 9, 12. Rahul looked puzzled. Ajahn explained. If you're single, 3 to 6 months may be enough. If you have a family, 6 to 9 months creates greater confidence. If you're self-employed, running a business, or working in an uncertain industry, 9 to 12 months provides stronger protection. Then Ajahn paused. But don't become obsessed with the number. Become committed to the habit. Because no emergency fund begins fully built. Every emergency fund begins with the first deposit. Imagine constructing a dam. You don't wait until the rainy season begins. You build it before the storm arrives. Emergency funds follow exactly the same principle. Every month, another brick, another layer, another level of security. Eventually, you stop wondering, what if something goes wrong? And start believing, if something goes wrong, we'll handle it. That confidence changes everything. There is another corporate idiom. Cash is king. Boardroom meaning. Companies with available cash can survive uncertainty, seize opportunities, and make better decisions. Simple English. Cash gives you choices. Imagine losing your job tomorrow. Without savings, every interview becomes an emergency. Every offer becomes difficult to reject. Every decision becomes emotional. Now imagine the same situation. With 12 months of expenses already saved, you can think clearly, negotiate wisely, choose the right opportunity, not the first opportunity. Money doesn't eliminate problems. It creates space to solve them intelligently. Ajahn then surprised Rahul with another question. What is the biggest emergency in life? Rahul immediately replied, medical emergencies. Ajahn shook his head. No. The biggest emergency is losing the ability to make good decisions. Stress, fear, panic, these create expensive mistakes. An emergency fund protects more than your bank account. It protects your judgment. Imagine a captain navigating a ship through a storm. The storm cannot always be avoided, but preparation determines whether the ship survives. Your emergency fund is your financial anchor. It doesn't stop storms. It stops you from drifting into disaster. Rahul smiled. I used to think an emergency fund was idle money. Ajahn laughed. So did I. But then I realized, fire extinguishers also spend most of their lives unused. Nobody complains they're not producing returns. They're producing something much more valuable. Safety, confidence, time, peace of mind. Some investments produce income. Emergency funds produce stability. Both are essential. Take a moment. Imagine your family sitting round the dining table tonight. Ask yourself one question. If every source of income stopped tomorrow, how many months could we continue living with dignity? Not luxury. Dignity. Don't answer emotionally. Answer honestly. Because awareness is where financial leadership begins. If today's lesson has changed your thinking, start today. Not with 6 months. Not with 12 months. Start with 1 week. Then 1 month. Then 3. Then 6. Progress is more important than perfection. Remember, the strongest buildings aren't built in one day. They're built one brick at a time. Rahul and Ajahn stood outside the airport later that evening. An aircraft accelerated down the runway, lifted into the sky, and disappeared into the clouds. Rahul watched quietly. I finally understand. Ajahn smiled. What? The passengers weren't confident because nothing could go wrong. They were confident because everything had been prepared if something did. Ajahn nodded. And that's exactly what an emergency fund is. It isn't money waiting for disaster. It's confidence waiting for uncertainty. In our next episode, good debt versus bad debt, the borrowing decisions that shape your future. You'll discover why some debt quietly builds wealth, while other debt silently destroys it. Understanding that difference could save you years of financial stress. Remember, insurance protects your future. An emergency fund protects your present. Investments build your wealth. But preparation protects your peace of mind. This is Invest Life System. Society, Wealth, Business, Career, Entrepreneurship. By Anika Suri. Until our next lesson, don't wait for life's storms. Build your financial airbag before you need it.